Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Will, and today we are back for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. So, this one is called the 501st Journal, and I do remember what this is. So, when I was younger, like back in elementary school and like middle school, when I had a PlayStation 2, the games that I really enjoyed playing was Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 1 and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, what I remember about Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like not just like the campaign, which the 501st Journal is about, but also like the concept of like conquest and just like playing as like unique characters like Jedi, Sith, bounty hunters. So that game is literally one of my favorite games that I ever played. And I don't know why, but when I was growing up and playing those games, Star Wars Battlefront 1 was my dad's favorite instead of Star Wars Battlefront 2. So every time I played with my dad, Star Wars Battlefront 1 is like the only game he'll play, because we tried Battlefront 2 and I don't know why he just didn't like it as much as the first one. So that's how it is. But anyways, so this is going to be really nostalgic because I played Battlefront 2, the Rise of the Empire campaign, like so many times. I remember some of the dialogue and some of the many of the missions. So but I don't remember off the top of my head, so maybe once I watch this video, like some of the missions will like come back and some of those moments. So without anything else, let's get into it.
My first day as a member of the 501st. It was hot, it was sandy, chaotic. Nothing at all like the simulations on Kamino. Of course, that's pretty much the way it was for all of us, wasn't it? All that breeding, all those years of training.
Oh yeah, Clone Wars.
Pay for all the screaming or the blood, does it? Frankly, I'm still amazed we ever made it through the first hour. Never mind the first day. Incredibly, the 501st survived the crucible of Geonosis, emerging battle-hardened and ready for whatever the war would throw at us. In the waning months of the Clone Wars, the 501st faced missions critical to the agenda of Chancellor Palpatine. When we arrived at the bombed-out ruins of Megiddo, our Jedi commander believed we had been sent to take out a droid energy collector. What Ki-Adi-Mundi didn't know, however, was that our unit of the 501st was really after an experimental Megiddan power source that the Chancellor wanted for his super laser. Keeping Mundi in the dark wasn't easy. The Jedi had become increasingly wary of the Chancellor's doings, and were on the lookout for the slightest hint of treachery. Just like the rest of them, though, he never caught whiff of what was really going on, until it was far too late.
Oh, man.
The success of the mission on Megiddo was something of a revelation for the men of the 501st. Suddenly, we realized that the Jedi could be fooled. And if they could be fooled, they could be killed.
Oh man, I remember that.
As the Clone Wars progressed, more and more ground-based legions found themselves pressed into space combat, including the fighting forces of the 501st. For months, every hour of our downtime was spent in the simulator.
Oh yeah,
preparing
the
for
space battles
time
were
we'd face
amazing in the
enemies
game
from the
too.
cockpit of a 170. Finally, the day came to earn our wings. The CIS had staged a daring kidnapping of Chancellor Palpatine and was being escorted from Coruscant by a fleet of separatist ships. With only a few veteran pilots on planet, many of the 501st were pressed into service to drive off the Seps and buy time for a pair of Jedi Knights to rescue the Chancellor. After disabling the final capital ship, General Kenobi and Skywalker took advantage of the opportunity we'd created and rescued the Chancellor. Took all the credit, too. It's been said that the 501st got the best of the war. We also got the worst. On Felucia, the Seps dug their metal heels into the muck of that alien hellhole and dared the Republic to come in after them. So we did. Only to be met with the month after month of flesh-eating diseases, shrieking nocturnal predators, and other sights that haunt me to this day. Cut off and for all we knew, abandoned by our superiors. Our only hope was Aayla Secura, our Jedi commander. Without her iron will, none of us would have come out of that mess with our sanity or our lives. When her death came, I hope it was quick. She earned that much. When the 501st was finally rotated out of Felucia, Ayla Secura made a point of seeing us off personally, calling us the bravest soldiers she had ever seen. It's a good thing we were wearing helmets, because none of us could bear to look her in the eye.
Man, that's an amazing quote. Space Battle Kashyyyk.
When the Separatists' invasion of Kashyyyk caught the Republic flat-footed, a detachment of the 501st was sent in to stop the bleeding until reinforcements could arrive. It was a textbook suicide mission, and we knew it. As we fought our way into Kashyyyk's atmosphere, most of us believed that the only way we'd be getting off this planet was in a body bag.
Man.
As the 501st finally broke through the SEP blockade over Kashyyyk, I took a long look back at the battle that continued to rage over the planet and wondered why so many had to die for a bunch of walking carpets. Then I followed my orders and turned planetward.
I remember the Kashyyyk battle. This one took
When we
forever.
arrived on Kashyyyk, things were just as bad as we feared. The droids had us outgunned, outmaneuvered, and outmanned by a 5-to-1 margin. What none of us had counted on was the Wookiees. We'd all heard the stories, of course, but we'd never fought next to them. Never seen them rip apart a droid with their bare hands. They were magnificent. Even so, it was still a suicide mission. At least it was until Master Yoda arrived. Then it became a battle. A winnable battle. With the timely arrival of Master Yoda, the 501st was able to hold the line against the Seps on Kashyyyk. We left as heroes. Years later, we'd return as conquerors. In our bones, we knew the war was almost over. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which side would make the final daring move. As fortune would have it, the Republic moved first. After the Chancellor informed the Jedi Council that General Grievous and the SEP leaders were hiding on Utapau, General Kenobi gathered an army large enough to capture 3 star systems. When the orders reached the 501st, our morale soared. For better or worse, this would be the beginning of the end.
I like
With
this
the death
mission.
of General Grievous at the hands of General Kenobi, the Utapau raid had broken the back of the Separatists. Under normal circumstances, it would have been a time for celebration. But our next orders put paid to those thoughts.
Oh, here we go. Order 66. This was one of my favorite missions, Nightfall.
What I remember about the rise of the Empire is how quiet it was. During the waning hours of the Clone Wars, the 501st Legion was discreetly transferred back to Coruscant. It was a silent trip. We all knew what was about to happen, what we're about to do. Did we have any doubts? Any private, traitorous thoughts? Perhaps, but no one said a word. Not on the flight to Coruscant, not when Order 66 came down, and not when we marched into the Jedi Temple. Not a word.
Yep. Revenge is that's the
fall of
number one
Coruscant
movie
and the
being used right now for
elimination
this
of the
video.
traitorous Jedi, Palpatine's rise to power was complete. In recognition of our service and loyalty to the Emperor, the 501st were placed under the direct command of Lord Vader.
Rebels. They're using Star Wars
Armed with
Rebels.
deadly new weapons, blazing new ships, and shiny new armor. Our presence let the galaxy know that the days of the old Republic were well and truly over. We were establishing a new era. An era of order and peace. Within months, the 501st gained a well-deserved reputation as Vader's fist.
Prison Break.
Once it
Oh,
was
this one took a
finally
while
finished,
for me.
The Death Star was the Emperor's favorite toy. It was also the most boring assignment in the galaxy for a stormtrooper. Tedious inspection drills, endless hours of guarding impregnable force field generators. Things got so bad that when a prison break erupted in the cell block, we were almost happy to have someone shooting at us again.
Bro, that line is kind of dark.
What an embarrassing snipe storm we were about to wade into. We probably would have jettisoned the whole detention block into space. After the embarrassment of the prison break, Lord Vader removed us from our comfortable belay and began dragging the 501st across the galaxy in a dangerous hunt for the now missing Death Star plans. Ironically, our punishment eventually proved to be our salvation. The poor souls who took our place in the detention area were completely wiped out when the Death Star was destroyed.
Scarif, the Rebellion raid.
By the time of the raid, the men of the 501st were starting to get a little sick of this so-called rebellion. In the past, we'd secretly enjoyed putting down a local insurrection or two.
I don't remember Scarif.
They kept the troops sharp and the Empire feared. But these rebels were different. They were organized, they were growing, and they were everywhere. The raid was a perfect example of how things were starting to fall apart. We were supposed to go in, wipe out a small band of rebels, and recover some stolen Imperial plans on
it's Polis Massa, it's not Scarif.
Before we knew
that asteroid mission,
we were nearly overrun by rebel forces, with the holodisc nowhere to be found. Even though the raid was only a partial success, we finally had a lead on the whereabouts of the Death Star plans, which suited the 501st just fine.
10-4.
Vader concluded that the stolen plans had been given to Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan. We weren't surprised. For all their talk of being a peaceful planet, Alderaan had been thumbing its nose at the Empire for years. After a brief and pointless battle, we boarded the ship, the Tantive 4, over Tatooine, began looking for the plans, and waited for Lord Vader's arrival. After Lord Vader took custody of Princess Leia, we all figured it was just a matter of time before she coughed up the plans. Many of us had been unwilling witnesses to Vader's powers of persuasion in the past. The thought of a pampered little princess resisting his terrible will was inconceivable.
Oh well. Yavin orbit. Oh, Yavin was a nightmare. When the Death
Star was destroyed, about half of the 501st Legion was still in the hangar getting into their ships. Of those who made it out, another third were caught in the explosion. I'd fought with some of those men for over 20 years.
Oh, I really like that shot.
Those of us that survived hooked up with a nearby Imperial fleet making a retaliatory strike on the rebels' base on Yavin 4. It wasn't the best thought-out plan, but we were cut off from our leaders, tired and operating on instinct. If not for our training, we probably would have never gotten past their orbital defenses. And so the battle over Yavin came to an end. I'm told we destroyed hundreds of rebel ships that day. Even if it had been thousands, it wouldn't have made up for the Death Star.
Hoth, our finest hour.
No one ever complained about the cold on Hoth. We never felt it. Even though we were blinded by blizzards, we could see the final end of the rebellion in our blaster sights. Was it only a mirage? Perhaps. But on that day, on that planet, our blood ran hot with dreams of victory, melting the ice that stood in our way.
Yo, AT-ATs on Hoth were beasts. If you had control one of those, I mean, you were literally winning the entire battle.
As the rebels fled, the 501st gathered around a burning bunker and let out a cheer that shook the stars. The rebellion was done. The Death Star was being rebuilt bigger than ever. Order had finally returned to the galaxy, in no small part due to the efforts of the fighting men of the 501st.
Okay guys, so that was the 501st Journal. So here are my thoughts and things I want to say. So before I forget, I do realize they forgot one mission in that, and that was the Mustafar mission, where what was his name? It was that Geonosian separatist, Gizor, or something like that. And I remember how you had to fight against another separatist like droid army on that planet, and man, that was crazy. And also another mission that they forgot to put in there was the Camino Rebellion. I only remember that because when I played as Boba Fett and the Imperials, when we were taking down Camino, those clone troopers were like literally unstoppable, because it was just a regular clone trooper, but they had jetpacks on. So basically, instead of a rocket launcher, it was an automatic rifle, a fully automatic rifle, and I was really envious of that. I was just thinking like, why couldn't we have that? But anyways, all the missions were like really entertaining to play, but one thing I would want to say, like, for difficulty wise, was Kashyyyk on the ground battle. I swear to God, that battle gave me nightmares. One part of the mission near the end was you have to like protect some sort of like oil refinery that's like located all the way in the back. You think that it would have been fine because you got like a big blast door shield like guarding everything, but no. I mean, the amount of time you have to protect it and the fact that you're completely overwhelmed was literally hell. I mean, that was no. That gave me nightmares. And I remember Yavin mission, the ground mission. You literally had to like go almost all over the map to like, I forgot what it was. You had to like capture something or like destroy something. I don't know, but I remember you had to go like all over the map. So I say those are like the missions that gave me the most nightmares. But the mission that I really enjoyed and was one of my favorites, actually, is literally the mission that I really enjoyed out of the entire campaign, was Coruscant Nightfall. Because what I liked about it was you're going up against Jedi, so there's just like Jedis like dropping out of the sky. I remember that, like, you're just climbing the stairs and then they just like come down and start attacking you, and you get to play as Anakin Skywalker against all of them. So I mean, it was a bit difficult at first because they're like deflecting everything you shoot at them, and basically they're like all over the place. But not only Jedi, they also had like what was it, like temple guards, temple guards that like were shooting rifles as well. So it was a bit difficult, but in a way it was a lot of fun. So this video really brought back some memories, but I know that they did leave a few missions and parts out of it because it's clearly modified to like use animations from the Clone Wars, Rebels, and the movies. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed watching this video. Keep an eye out for more content, and also check out my other videos that I have on my channel, like my gameplays, my reactions, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys next time.